And I guess kind of now going in a completely different angle. This is just one topic that continually just comes up when we're on talking to people on the podcast, and it's the whole idea of a Japanese girlfriend or a Japanese wife. And time and time again, everyone in the comments
is the key. The key to fluency.
The key to fluency.
It's pretty damn close to being the key. It's pretty close. I mean, it's hard to... So, like, think about it, right? Unless you have, like, a really, really good friend that you hang out with all the time, or like a coworker that speaks only Japanese, your other options are like finding people online to talk to, I guess, or like going out to the bar. But you're not going to spend 8 hours a day at the bar, because that's not going to work out too well for you. And you most people probably don't have enough money to spend, on hours of lessons every day on italki.
8 hours italki.
So, like, imagine that, 8 hours in italki. Oh my god, I'd be exhausted and broke. And so, like, what's the next best thing? A significant other that speaks...
Hello talk.
I guess there's that, right? But yeah,
we don't talk about hello talk over here.
Dating, is pretty awesome because, text messaging, phone calls, being with them all the time whenever you're out of work. If you work with them too, I mean, well, that's just constant opportunities to speak. So yeah, it's hard to deny the benefit of dating someone who speaks your target language. I mean, I don't even know if it's debatable. It's obviously a huge factor. If I had dated, for example, an American while I was living in Japan instead of a Japanese person, I can't imagine my Japanese would be nearly as good as it is now, just because, obviously, I know a bunch of people, actually, who dated people from their own countries or from other English-speaking countries, and they still can't really speak Japanese, obviously, right? Like, why would they even bother? Yeah. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you really like someone who happens to not speak Japanese, like, okay. And I do not recommend dating someone just to learn a language, because that's a dick move. Yeah. Like, I've been dated by people who just wanted to learn English. You know what I mean? Like, I've had the reverse before, and it's not cool. Like, it doesn't feel great. I mean, in the beginning, it's fine. Like, I don't care. Like, you want to learn English, you're cool. But long term, it's sort of draining. So if you like someone and they happen to speak your target language as well, don't even go for it, man. It's awesome.
Right. So does that mean, Andy, you've been a prime target of the gaijin hunters?
Not a prime target, but on a long enough timeline, if you're living in Japan, you will find yourself being targeted, I feel like. Yeah.
It's the classic.
It's okay. You just have to be stronger in the Japanese, right?
True.
The interesting thing is, so when dating, so generally speaking, right, even if the person, in Japan at least, like if you're dating a Japanese girl or Japanese guy, whatever, they're gonna have some interest in English. Like, it's I have not really seen almost anyone who's had a Japanese girlfriend or boyfriend where the other person didn't at least have some interest in English, right? Because most people are too shy, at least outside of Tokyo, most people are too shy to even talk to an American, right? Let alone go out of their way to date them. So they're gonna have some English, like, interest in English. Almost, I'd say 99.9% of the time. There might be like one or two people out there who happen to have a significant other who has zero interest in English and never did, but it's rare. So in the end, what happens is most people, even if they marry a Japanese woman or guy, that person speaks English. So they never speak Japanese anyway. And there's people who have lived here for 20, 30 years, who I know personally, who speak no Japanese, which is how do you live here for so long? But it's easy. They married a Japanese person who speaks good English, and so they don't speak Japanese. So what ends up happening is whoever is the most confident or whoever has the strongest, other language, that's what language you end up speaking. So you sort of have to go in and be not forceful, but like if you want to speak Japanese, you got to do it. And it's important. One thing I could give advice to people who have maybe just started dating someone or thinking about dating over here is it's a good idea to sort of communicate right away and be like, hey, I'm not dating you for this, but I would like to speak Japanese sometimes. So I'll speak some English with you too, but like sort of like work it out so that you get a little bit of both or whatever. Because if you don't, you'll just default to the easiest language.
Right. Yeah.
So for me, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I think that's probably a good way to put it, just to establish that right at the beginning before it becomes something later on where, like you mentioned.
It will. It does. It becomes something almost every time. Like, I wanted to learn more English. Why don't you speak more English? It's like, I'm sorry, I would speak more English if you spoke more English. Or the other way around. Like, you speak too much Japanese. Why don't, it goes both ways in there.
Right.
So it will become an issue if you don't talk about it early.
Right. And real quick, guys, as a disclaimer, we're not telling you to go out there just to meet one random Japanese person on the street and start trying to date them just to increase your Japanese ability. That's not what we're trying to do here. This is not what the KoreKara podcast is trying to come here. Don't.
That's not what we're I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, don't say that, Andy. We're gonna have people going up to people and be like, "Oh yeah, like the KoreKara podcast told me to do this."
Those type of people are gonna do that anyway. So.
Oh, that's true. That's true. They'll just go in.
No, don't do that, guys. Do not do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Or at least if you do that, don't say it's because of us. Just do it on your own.
Blame it on Tokenie Andy.
Exactly. No. We won't blame it on you.
I'm just kidding.
Blame it on